carry on. This is Book Zealots, and this is something that's been on my mind for a while. And I finally got some numbers put together and some information. And I wanted to know what you think you are and what you think I am. And let's talk about it. Because I see numbers and a lot of people make assumptions, and I just want to have fun with this. So why not? So you've probably already guessed from the title, do you consider yourself a book reader or a book collector or a book hoarder? I want to talk about the evolution of myself and then get your take on what you think I am, what you think you are. Let's have fun. Why not? There's no shame. I don't think there's any shame. And we're all evolving in this process, right? So at some point I was a reader, a book reader, because when I was little, I didn't really own books until I started getting my little pittance of an allowance. My mother would pay me an allowance, and I do that because it was a ridiculous little amount, and it never increased. No, it never increased. So with my chores and with my age, the amount never increased. So what I made at 8 or 10, I don't even remember how old I was when I first started getting an allowance. What I made for an entire week was the same at that age as it was at 16. And I was not allowed to get a job, an outside job. I was allowed to do babysitting, but I wasn't allowed to get a real job. So what I used with that money, if I had to pay for my own clothes and books. I loved buying books. And then as a teenager, I started saving my money, my allowance, to buy records. Yes, that's how old I am. Records, although you probably have guessed. Vinyl. We didn't call it vinyl back then. So anyways, I would buy books. And I didn't keep my books. I don't even remember what I did with my books. I'm sorry. I don't know what I did with my books because I didn't always keep them. Anyways, I was a reader. I wouldn't say that I was a collector. So let's talk about the difference. And I'm going to put the information up above so that you can continue reading. You could read with me. And I'm going to kind of like just summarize. So a reader. Typically a reader enjoys books for the story and or the action or the experience of reading, and will only care about the condition of the book or the media of how they're reading if it enhances or takes away from their reading experience. They will tend to cycle through books fairly quickly. I cycle through books fairly quickly, and I just want to mention really quickly, my husband recently got me this book, and it was on my wish list. Jane Austen's Bookshelf, a rare book collector's quest to find the women writers who shaped a legend, by Rebecca Romney. I found out about this woman while looking up, I think, old books, and she was on Pawn Stars. I hope that the quality or lack thereof of this book does not ruin my experience of reading this book, because, and I'm going to be a little bit of a snob here, the quality of this book isn't very good. So when I first opened it up, the very first page is wrinkled. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's wrinkled. The pages are very thin, so if I'm annotating, I mean, can you see that? Can you see that? How it's wrinkled right there? And the pages are very, very thin. And I'm hoping that when I annotate, that it won't tear up the pages. Oh, this ought to be very, very interesting. I just came across something in this book that I'm probably going to okay, so quality or lack thereof. I'm pretty disappointed with that. I'm happy to have the book, maybe, maybe. And a collector tends to judge books on other values other than the story or the reading experience, such as the edition, whether or not it's signed, what its traceable history is. So is the book from the author, like, is not just a signature, but let's say the book is from a very famous person in history. Does it have their, what's the word I'm looking for? A table from their library. You know what I'm talking about, right? I'm having a brain fart, sorry. Is it a set in a series? Is it like a full series? I need to sneeze now. How rare is it? What is the book condition, etc.? Now this will tend towards the collector will also tend towards organization. They will have a system of some sort. They will be very meticulous in their care of the books that they buy. Will they get them restored, etc.? I don't even know anyone that does that. I did just recently find out that there is a booktuber on here whose nephew restores bindings or will rebind. I would love to know how to do that. That is amazing. And a hoarder. A hoarder will have a large stockpile of varying qualities with no intention of reading or the goals of collecting other than the act of possessing the books. Now let me go. I at one point would have considered myself a hoarder of books because I was collecting books for the sheer number of owning books. Here's why. My husband and I were going to open a B&B, a bed and breakfast company. We were going to buy an older home of historical value, and I wanted to have a library, and I did not want to care if the books went missing. You know what I'm talking about. So I was collecting for the sheer volume of books to put in that library in the B&B. My husband changed his mind and said, I don't want to do this. And so I started getting rid of the books. So was I a hoarder? Technically, no. Was I starting to hoard the books for a purpose? Yes. But I wasn't a hoarder. Does that make sense? Anyway, so the hoarding. Back to the hoarding. They cannot care for the condition. They don't care for the storage of the media, and it's considered to be unhealthy, not just for the people, but for people who come to visit them. It is dangerous on multiple levels, fire hazards, etc. Anyway, okay. Now, based on all of that, would you consider yourself a book reader? Would you consider yourself a collector? I do know that there are some collectors on BookTube. And would you consider yourself a hoarder? Now, Prometheus has made this really cute diagram. I'll try and take a picture of it. I don't know if y'all can see it. I'll take a picture of it and include it. Now, there are little gray areas. There's little gray areas. You might not be, it might not be black and white. You might be a reader, but you also might be a slight hoarder. You might be a reader, but you might also be a slight collector. I'm starting to move into the collector area. So for instance, my books right here, my Harvard classics, my, hang on. These little books right here. Now, I've already read The Scarlet Letter. It is a book that I like. It is a book that I will eventually reread. So I wanted a nicer edition because the edition that I had was garbage. So I am starting to collect books that are of better quality. But I have already read this, and I know that I will reread it at some point in the future. So, collecting better quality. And these, okay, I love these little flame, what are they called? Flame tree editions. This one is not a good edition because there's a wrinkle in the front. I don't know if y'all can see that. And I have not read Ivanhoe. Now, if I hate Ivanhoe, I'm not going to keep this edition. I will unhaul it. So I'm not hoarding it. I'm not hoarding the books. So, and I'm not quite collecting it just to collect this edition either. If I don't like the story, I'm not keeping it. It's gone. It's out of here. If the story cannot redeem itself, it's gone. Now, if you are on BookTube, have you noticed that your quantity, your inventory has skyrocketed? I'm really curious to know. My friend got me, hang on. My friend got me this and I was convicted. I have no shelf control. It's hilarious, yet I did not want people to make assumptions about how many books I have and how many books I'm reading, because I do know that there are a lot of people on BookTube who will buy books and are leaning towards hoarding. I do not want people thinking that I have a gluttony problem with books, that I am hoarding books. So I started keeping track. Now, I want you to tell me what you are or what you think you are. Are you a book reader, a book collector, or a book hoarder, or somewhere in between? Let me know. And then I also want you to tell me what you think I am. Do you think I am a book reader, a book hoarder, or a book collector, or somewhere in between that gray area, or a combination of others? So I do want to say, though, I'm going to give one number, and then after people guess, I'll go to the community section and I'll let you know how many books that I have inventoried for 2025 and what I think I am. I'm not going to be offended. If you think I'm a hoarder, put that you think I'm a hoarder. It's fine. I'm not going to be offended. So in 2021, my book count was over 1,000. I stopped counting. That's where I was at. So it was approximately 1,111. I don't think I counted all of books that I had on like Bible study and books on like table books, like coffee table books and things like that. I stopped counting. So let me know what you think you are and what you think I am, and leave it in the comment section, and I look forward to the discussions. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your comments, and I will see you there. Bye.